You're at the Grove Tavern. I'm Steve, the landlord. Been here 18 years. It is supposed to be the oldest pub. Entry in the poor records of 1670. This place was listed in the Census records as a pie-house. You would guess it would be a pie-and-pint house, but there's no definite guarantee that it was. So there's a gap in the records of whether this place was a pub, but it has been. There was another pub just around the corner. There was another one up the road where Miles' Garage is, called the Windmill, I think. So yeah, there was a few around here. There was a little triangle here. You had the landlord of the White Bear, Jack Jarvis. You had the landlord of the Bedford, Jimmy Dry. And you had the landlord here, Pat Burke, and this was their little triangle where they used to walk round, and if they saw the wife coming one way, they went out the other door and went round to the next one. So, yes, it's got a lot of history. It's not all of it good. We do supposedly have a token ghost, which all the oldest pubs in Tunbridge Wells have, who was called Joshua, who was a cellarman, worked in the cellar down here, and apparently from the Grove there is supposed to be a tunnel that goes up to one of these houses that was a house of ill repute, so you could pop into the pub and have a quick pint and then go through and come back and have a pint afterwards. But he apparently fell in love with one of the ladies of the night and waited down in the cellar for her, and she never turned up. And he's down there, and there have been times when you go down there and the cellar's not how you remember leaving it the day before.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Kimmel. I'm the Audience Development Manager at the Amelia, and I'm also a beer historian. So at the moment I'm holding some hot tokens from the museum collection. These are particularly important because they're quite interesting. They're indicative of the sort of working class history of this part of the country. Hop tokens were used to pay hop pickers and people who worked on the hop farms during the harvest time. Because of course, as a farmer, you're only paid when the harvest is actually brought in, but that takes quite a bit of time. So in the meantime, you paid your workers with these little tokens that were basically a promise of money. And in fact, there were so many people coming down to Kent to pick hops at that time, these little tokens actually replaced money, and you could spend them in shops and pubs all over the county. There's a farm near Cranbrook, which was actually one of the first places that this Bavarian weed was ever actually grown in the UK. So the soil and the climate is perfect here. It's the exact same reason why wine grows so well here now. There were hop farms quite close to the town, and actually a lot of the large estates around the town would have had their own hop vines as well, because obviously brewing was done in those large manor houses. So Penshurst, Hever, all of those sorts of places had their own hop farms effectively. In the 1911 census, there were 96 pubs listed as in and around Tunbridge Wells. So you're talking about Tunbridge Wells, Russ Hall, Pembury, the kind of immediate area around the town. 96 pubs. And considering the fact that that is a much smaller number today, but the populations of all those areas are much higher, you know, you could have had a pub for 10 people. The new wave of pubs, or beer cafes, or tap rooms, or anything like that, have really brought big name, next level craft beer into the town. And it's all celebrated annually with the Tunbridge Wells Beer Weekend as well. So, and that's a great time to visit. There's talks, there's been homebrewing lessons, beer sampling, you know, it's just a phenomenal place to be for a weekend. And then there's also the hugely successful Camera Beer Festival at the end of October every year, which, again, you get to combine all sorts of great beers, real ales, but other ales as well, and steam trains. So really, what could go wrong? It's a fantastic, it's a great weekend.